Hello everyone and welcome aboard the Utopia of the Seas for today's ship tour. We're going to start our tour today at the very top and very front of the ship and make our way deck by deck all the way down to the bottom. And of course, leave a like and subscribe for more Utopia of the Seas content going forward. Anyways, let's get started all the way up in the Solarium. It's the big relaxation area, takes up the entire front top part of the ship. As you will see on this ship, we do not have access to the bridge wings as they're closed off, because there are suites there now compared to Wonder. But we do have a bar in here as well, along with the Solarium Bistro on the other side. One of the best parts about the Solarium here and on Wonder of the Seas is that it's completely enclosed, so they do have the AC going. Here on the port or the left-hand side of the ship, we have the View Bar, which takes place of one of the cantilever whirlpools that we see on other Oasis-class ships. As you can see, of course, there's a bar right in the middle. Grab some cocktails, grab some drinks, while you have a great view down the side of the ship. And of course, on the starboard or right-hand side of the ship, we have the cantilever whirlpool that usually is there on all of the other Oasis-class ships, including the Allure, which is right outside that window there. And then right in the middle of those two is the entrance for Solarium Bistro, if you want to grab some breakfast there. Lots of good options. But then we're going to skip our way back to deck 16. We're going to hop up one. This is the upper part of the pool deck, or I guess if you want to call it the sun deck, that works too. But typically found on all of the new Royal Caribbean ships, we have the casitas here that you can rent out. Quite expensive, but you can rent them out. I believe it was about $200 for a port day. I'm not sure of the actual sea day prices. But you do get a good look at the water slides here. You have the toilet bowls, what I like to call it, the big orange one. And then the ones that are kind of twisting between each other over on the other side. So you can see the yellow and the blue ones, they kind of have little clear sections now, so they're not so dark compared to the other ones on older Oasis-class ships. But up here on 16, we have the top part of the lime and coconut bar, and of course the casitas check-in, if you have that for the day. Just continuing on back, we have a little hot tub right there, which is nice, and a little clear section, so be cautious of that. People can see what's going on underneath the water. But you got to look down onto one of the main pools, and coming from the Wonder of the Seas, we also have the stadium seating. Skipping back a little bit further, we have the video arcade. Always a fun time. Waste some money in here if you want to get rid of the kids for a few minutes. Air hockey tables, claw machines, skee ball, all sorts of stuff. Really fun time in here. And skipping back to one of my personal favorites, El Loco Fresh, the Mexican-themed restaurants, burritos, tacos, quesadillas. You can make it yourself, buffet style. Very, very good. On other Oasis-class ships with El Loco Fresh, they've had this open for breakfast, but I noticed on Utopia specifically, it was not open for breakfast, but that may change. Skipping back just a little bit, we have Cantina Fresca, which is just the built-in bar for El Loco Fresh. Grab yourself a drink while you grab a few tacos and quesadillas and have yourself a good time in El Loco Fresh. Skipping back, though, we have the mini golf course. Still the undersea themed, kind of like Wonder, but just a little bit different. 9-hole mini golf course, pretty big size too, which is pretty cool. Then, of course, we have an Oasis-class favorite, the zip line. Zip your way across the boardwalk here from one end to the other here up on deck 16. Up there is a suites-only area for decks 17 and 18. Of course, I could not get up there. In those little windows there is a little restaurant, and then right above it, there is a outdoor relaxation area. And we have a look at the Utopia Playscape. If you want to have the kids play around a little jungle gym play area. I wish ships had stuff like this when I was a kid, when I first started cruising, because it looks really, really fun. And then, of course, we have one of the biggest attractions here on Utopia of the Seas, the Ultimate Abyss. Go down a 10-story dry slide all the way down from the pool deck here, the sports deck, all the way down into the boardwalk. Here we have a look at the Wipeout Bar, right in between that Utopia Playscape and the classic Flow Rider. Only one on this ship, just like her sister Wonder. If you want to do some boogie boarding or even some stand-up surfing, it's a great place to do it. And jumping forward just a little bit, we have the ping pong tables that are in this little enclosed area, so you don't mistakenly lose a ball. And then we have the basketball court, which is also being multi-purposed with some pickleball in the morning. And then going to jump inside really quick to the Teen Club Lounge here on Utopia of the Seas. This is directly across the video arcade there, so just on the other side. And then jumping down to deck 15, one of the most important parts of the ship, we have the Windjammer Marketplace, which is the buffet on board. Same style like Icon of the Seas and Wonder of the Seas, how it kind of encloses the boardwalk area and, of course, has the playscape or play area sports deck above it. And, of course, if you've cruised with Royal before, you would know, you've got the washy station where you can wash your hands. And, of course, there is also a bar off to the side there. And then also we have the Mason Jar, which is right out in front of the Windjammer. This is a Southern country style, usually a brunch, but I believe they even have some live music in the afternoons and evenings. And then right outside midship, right outside the Windjammer area as you continue forward, we have the Spare Tire, which is the food trucks. As of right now, Utopia is the only one to have a food truck style venue on any ship on Royal Caribbean's fleet. But right outside of that, or right across from that, is of course the main pool that we were at earlier. Here we have a look at the lower level of the Lime and Coconut Bar. Just a giant tropical themed bar, of course, found on a lot of the newer Royal Caribbean ships. And right off to the side of that, we also have Sprinkles, which is the ice cream bar. Of course, it was closed off because it was early in the morning. But they even had a guy putting sprinkles on your ice cream for you, which is pretty cool. Then here we have the Splashaway Bay, the kids' play area. Very cool, small water slides, nothing crazy. But all the little water effects and things like that they can run through. Always looks like a good time. And then, of course, just another look at those water slides that we saw earlier. And, of course, those clear sections are a welcome addition to those slides, as on the older Oasis-class ships, those sections get very, very dark, and it's kind of creepy. Skipping inside and down one, we have Adventure Ocean for the kids, and then, of course, the Royal Escape Room. Skipping down to deck 12, all the way in the back, we have Giovanni's Italian Kitchen. This is the Italian restaurant on board. Again, another one of my personal favorites. I unfortunately did not get a chance to eat here. And of course, one of the biggest things with Giovanni's here on Utopia is the brand new location and the outdoor seating area that overlooks the boardwalk, which was super, super cool. Spanning deck 8 and 9, we have the music hall. Unfortunately, there is a staff meeting I accidentally walked in on, so I cannot provide any footage of inside, but basically a music venue. Now making our way into one of the main neighborhoods here on board Utopia of the Seas, Central Park. Central Park is a big outdoor green area, essentially Central Park. But we have lots of restaurants and shops out here. Chops Grill, the main steakhouse on board, always a very good choice. I love going to Chops. Here we have a top level of the Rising Tide bar. This goes from deck 8 down to deck 5 in the Royal Promenade. And on the other side, we have 150 Central Park, which is another just extremely high-end specialty restaurant. Here we have the Trellis bar as we continue to make our way through. And then on the other side of that, we have the Park Cafe, another Oasis-class specialty. Love going here for lunch. It's always one of my favorites. Another restaurant with a brand new location here on board Utopia of the Seas is Izumi Hibachi. And of course, it now includes, from Icon, Izumi in the Park, which is a little to-go window, which is always really nice. I always enjoy getting the karage chicken from there. But, of course, Izumi is the hibachi restaurant, so you're going to have all the tables and things like that. A very good choice. One thing I noticed is that on Wonder, we had a bunch of astronauts around the ship, and on Utopia, it was a bunch of monkeys. Interesting choice, but pretty cool. Here we have one of the watch shops, just luxury jewelry stores. Nothing on deck 7, so we're going to skip down to deck 6 forward here at Vitality at Sea. This is the spa and fitness center. So if you want to get a massage done, or if you want to go hit the gym and get a workout in, on over to deck 6 forward. Right outside of there, we have the Focus Photo Gallery here on the upper level of the Royal Promenade in midship. Here you can tap your room key and you can go through all the photos that you've taken on board. And of course, a quick little shore excursion kiosk here as well. Across from there on deck 6, we have a Royal Caribbean classic, the Schooner Bar, found on every single Royal Caribbean ship. Live music, grab yourself a drink, relax, and have a good time in the Schooner Bar. Then heading to deck 6 aft, we have the Boardwalk, another main neighborhood here on board Utopia of the Seas. Again, the Boardwalk themed area. You got the carousel, you got a little doghouse. Doghouse is in a hot dog stand, not one that Rover from Icon would sit in. Again, here's another look at the carousel, and then over to our right-hand side, we have Playmaker's Sports Bar, which has a little bit of an arcade on the outdoor area of it, and then we'll hop into the restaurant here. Of course, your typical sports bar. You got TVs showing sport games everywhere. What else could you ask for when the big game is playing? And right outside of Playmakers, like I mentioned earlier, the Ultimate Abyss, well, this is where it lets out, down here on Deck 6 aft, right outside of Playmakers and Johnny Rockets, which we'll get to in a second. Here's another one of those monkeys that I mentioned earlier that were in Central Park, but we have a good look at the rock wall area here on both sides of the ship. And another Oasis class favorite, the AquaTheater, where they have Aqua 82, is a follow-up to the original one on Oasis of the Seas, so it was really, really cool. I did see it. It was a very good show. Then heading back forward, we have a little play kids area where you can kind of climb on what I like to call Pringles. And then that's right next to Johnny Rockets. Johnny Rockets is a pay-to-eat restaurant. I believe it's either $15 or $17 per person, but it's all you can eat with that flat rate. And breakfast is free. So go check that out for breakfast. It's actually really good stuff there. Right next to Johnny Rockets, we have the kids shop. It's basically just another souvenir shop that we see down on the promenade. We'll get to in a minute, but this one is more kid-themed, smaller size clothing, things like that. And right next door, we have Sugar Beach, the candy store that's found on board here on Utopia of the Seas. Heading midship and skipping down a level, we have the Pesky Parrot as we start to enter the Royal Promenade. This is a brand new bar here on board Utopia of the Seas, replacing the Bionic Bar. Here we have the bottom level of the Rising Tide Bar with guest services just across the way there. And here we have a look at Cafe Promenade, where you can get your specialty coffees and, of course, take advantage of those loyalty discounts if you are, I think it's platinum and above. And, of course, any pastries as well, if you want to grab some of that. And right here we have a 1948 Pontiac, which was super cool to see. Across the way from the Cafe Promenade is the Next Cruise Desk, one of my love and hate places here on board. My wallet doesn't like it, but I sure do. It's like Royal Caribbean knew what they were doing when they did this, but Sorrento's Pizza, another one of my favorites, is right next door to the Next Cruise Desk, where you can grab your free pizza, all you can eat. Again, Royal Caribbean pizza here at Sorrento's is some of my favorite of any cruise line. On the opposite side of Sorrento's, though, we have the Bell and Barley, which is the Irish pub found on board, where basically just an Irish themed pub, and you have some live music here as well, which is always really, really nice at night. Continuing further down, we have the gift shops here on board Utopia of the Seas. Any Royal Caribbean or Utopia of the Seas merchandise, you're going to find it here. T-shirts, ship models, which are my favorite. Sweatshirts, anything you'd really think of. Magnets, ornaments, stuff like that. Very, very cool. You also have a look at Starbucks, which is sandwiched right in between the Spotlight Karaoke, the karaoke bar, of course, fittingly named. And then across from there is the Boleros Bar, another bar just hanging out on the promenade with some live music. Head over to Boleros. And then deck 5, all the way forward, we have the Royal Theater, which spans a few decks, but there's an entrance up here on deck 5. It is closed, but you can kind of take a look through the window here as we look into the main theater. And pretty much found all the way around the promenade, forward, back, left, right, however you want to look at it. There are entrances, exits, however you want to classify it, to the jogging track. Pretty much circles the entire length of the ship. There is even a secret entrance to the gym on the forward section of the track here. But here we have a good look. You even have little inspirational things there. And then heading down to our final deck, deck number 4, we're starting out with Entertainment Place, where you can find places like the Attic, which is the comedy club found here on board the Utopia of the Seas. And also, of course, the ice skating rink, Studio B, where you can find the main ice skating show. Very good as well. I did see that. Very, very good ice skating show here on board the ship. And as we continue our way back, we have a look into the Casino Royale. There is going to be a very long hallway full of art pieces where you can purchase them, and sometimes they're even auctioned off. But we continue down this hallway into the actual casino itself, one of the largest casinos at sea, to my knowledge. Slot machines, roulette, poker, blackjack, anything you can think of, you're going to find it probably here in Casino Royale. And then one of the biggest features here on board Utopia of the Seas is Utopia Station, which is a brand new railway-style restaurant, the Royal Railway. But this is basically the entrance for it, and of course you have the little ticker like you would find in your typical train station, and it even does that cool little thing, and it says, World's Biggest Weekend, Utopia of the Seas. Then, last but not least, we have the main dining room that goes from Deck 4, also includes Deck 3 and Deck 5, so spanning 3 different decks, 3 through 5, the main dining room where you can either do your assigned time dinings or anytime dining where you can just show up and get a random assigned seating and have a nice main dinner here in the main dining room. And that is all for today's ship tour of the beautiful Utopia of the Seas. Thank you all for hanging out to this point. If you enjoyed it, make sure you leave a like and subscribe to continue following along all of the footage that we have here of Utopia of the Seas, whether it's ship spotting or the vlogs coming immediately after this one. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time.